Drew, how far will the Clippers fall by the time the playoffs start? We have a lot of struggles, right? They went on this crazy run, beating the Celtics, going 6-1 on this big road trip. And now they went 8-10 before beating the Trailblazers recently. And now they have the Trailblazers next up as we're recording this once again on Thursday, about 10 o'clock at night now. How far are the Clippers actually going to fall before we get to the final playoff standings?
I think they're going to continue to play 500 basketball. That's kind of who they've been. That's who they are since the All-Star break, and they're going to continue to do that. Luckily for them, they won't fall into the play-in. There's just too much inconsistency between the Dallas Mavericks, the Sacramento Kings. Kings come out last night and they blow the roof off the Raptors, and then they lose tonight to the worst team in basketball, the Washington Wizards.
Just what you were talking about.
Road. Yep, back-to-backs on the road are always tough, but it just is what it is. You have to find a way to win these games. And there's a lot of inconsistency down at the bottom of the standings. The Suns, they have all the talent in the world, but they can't seem to put it together. The Mavericks are, I'm not a big fan of the antics of Luka on the court. I think it's tough basketball to watch. And the Lakers and the Warriors don't have enough to put it together to move up out of the play-in. So I think they're going to rest at about 5 or 6. Which is going to be tough for them because they're going to run into either the Denver Nuggets or the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's just not going to be a good fit for them in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, again, when you look at this, their road trip was very successful, going 6-1. In December, they played really well basketball as well. Kawhi Leonard is in and out of the lineup now with injuries, and even when he's back, he's not playing fantastic basketball. I would like to see a little bit more offensive efficiency from everybody, but especially looking at guys like Kawhi Leonard. Paul George has not played well. We were talking about recently shooting 5 for 13, 6 for 16. Even defensively, which, PG's known as a two-way player, he's not looked good. And then to come out after their loss recently to the, to Atlanta, they were asked about, or excuse me, I think it was the Knicks. Recently, they were asked about just like their team identity and what it is. And he just comes out and he says, I don't think we have one. We're less than 20 games away from the NBA playoffs. And this team, a veteran team that looks slow and old and tired, doesn't have an identity. You're beaten up too, right? Russell Westbrook went out for a little bit in January. You also have Norman Powell. I think that they've significantly missed. But honestly, this Clippers team, I think they're destined to maybe not fall as far as that 6, but if they fall and they switch spots with the Pelicans, they're going to end up playing them. It feels like they're going to be destined to play each other in the playoffs. And if you look at the recent success of the Pelicans playing the Clippers, which we're going to talk about the Pelicans here pretty soon, that doesn't bode well for a Clippers team, which again doesn't have an identity. They're old, they're tired, they're aging stars, and when they're not on, they all are on. And you see the shenanigans, bro. Well, you see the shenanigans of James Harden going and passing the ball out to Kawhi, and he goes to shoot it, and James Harden puts his hand up. Bro, like, stop dicking around. Like, I get it, you're the 4th seed, but for what, bro? Like, you've lost 8 of the last you're 8-10 or 9-10, last 19. Like, congratulations, bro. But you think you have the authority to dick around on the basketball court? Like, and he missed. If he makes it, it's whatever. But he missed, and that's why it's on the highlight reels. It's just incredible with a team of these names and how well they played recently. And there's a real shot of some competition in the West with them. Now it just feels like they're the sore thumb kind of sticking out of the top 4. Everyone else is competitive there.
I have zero confidence in them moving forward. I don't have any confidence in a bunch of their players in the playoffs, namely James Harden. And so the West is so competitive this year that the Kings have a record right now that has them good for 7th and in the play-in, and would have gotten them the 3rd seed last year, which is what they had. So it's just a very competitive West this year, and they're trending down at the wrong time, which is too bad because the team below them, the Pelicans, are trending up, and It's not a good time for them to not know what they're doing. But frankly, when you're talking about a Russell Westbrook, you're talking about a James Harden, you're talking about a playoff P, you're talking about Kawhi Leonard, who's kind of just a. I was trying to find a word to describe him. I'm not a fan. I got to be honest with you. I'm not. The way he got himself out of San Antonio and him winning the championship in Toronto and then leaving, and he's been basically a part-time player ever since then. I'm just not a fan of him, his brand, or anything he's ever done since he got to his superstardom status. So I don't even know how you can root for him. Like, as a Clippers fan, I get it. You're going to root for your team, but like, does he ever give 100% full effort? Like, ever since he got injured in San Antonio and his team forced him to, sit an entire season and all that other stuff. I'm not a fan. It's not basketball, man. That's why the league is struggling.
Yeah, definitely. We've talked a lot about the Pelicans, kind of piggybacking with the Clippers, and I think that we should talk about them next. The Pelicans are peaking at the perfect time. Currently, they are sitting at the 5th seed in the Western Conference standing, and they have the longest win streak currently in the NBA. They're tied for the most road wins in the league. And then with less than 20 games remaining in the regular season, the Pelicans are peaking again right now at the perfect time. And the things that are contributing to that is health. They're one of the healthiest teams in the league currently, which is crazy for the Pelicans. We're talking about a team with Zion, with Trey Murphy being injured in the beginning of the season and struggling coming back. And then better play from their top players, right? And talking about Trey Murphy, a guy who missed the first 19 games of the season, and then with a meniscus injury, he's recovering from it. His shooting coming back was not good, but since the All-Star break, post All-Star break, shooting 41.8% from deep, averaging 22.8 points off the bench in his last 6 games. And New Orleans are 5-1 in those games and are 11-0 in the last 11 games when Trey Murphy makes 4 or more threes. They're playing a point
Literally
Zion.
Trey.
Yeah, so point Zion right now is kind of taking over for the Pelicans. He's kind of running the floor, and he's the one who kind of does everything at the moment. Brandon Ingram still has his great mid-range game, but I think with Zion running the floor, it allows everybody to be spaced out a little bit better. When it was Brandon Ingram running it a little bit more than Zion, you ended up having like a little bit more like bunched formations in and on the court. And that's because of his mid-range game. Certain players can't do what they want to do with it more spread out with Zion. It looks a lot better, man. They look really good. So top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency over the last 15 games, and leading the league in defensive rating and steals, and being second in net rating, only behind the Celtics. Team on a tear right now.
Yeah, I'm not a big Zion guy. I'll be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure how his wrecking ball offense is going to translate into the playoffs when the physicality is ramped up. But frankly, when you have CJ McCollum and you have Brandon Ingram and you have Trey and you're just operating at the highest level, we're talking about a team that has beat the Kings 4 times this year. And if you look at the Kings' record in the West, they've beaten everybody. They've beaten the Nuggets. They've beaten the Lakers. They've beaten Minnesota. They've beaten OKC. Everybody in front of them they've beaten except for the Clippers randomly, and they played the Clippers earlier in the year. They've beat all the top teams in the West. They lose to the scrubs except for the Pelicans. The Pelicans have handed them their business 4 times now. And it's hard to beat a good team 4 times in a row. Not that I'm out here, orchestrating the Kings as a great team or anything, but when you can score the way the Kings and the Pelicans have beat them 4 times, their length, it causes problems. Zion causes problems. Brandon Ingram can go for 35 any given night. CJ McCollum is a microwave. It's just.
And then you have this unsung heroes and guys like Jose Alvarado, guys like that make a difference. They're big contributors on a team like that.
It's a massive wild card in the West right now, the Pelicans. It's very exciting, actually, to have a team like that coming from nowhere.
I mean, the West is almost a bloodbath, right? New faces, new players coming in. Obviously, we have the Thunder, the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, guys who are there. I mean, dude, the Rockets might somehow sneak into the play, and if they play well enough, after
Sengun is a beast.
Well, he's out. Sengun's out. He's out for the season.
Yeah, you're right.
And so what ends up happening is, Ime Udoka ends up tearing down that team to be a defensive team, being one of the best defensive teams in the league after being one of the worst last year. And then now letting Jalen Green actually play to his fullest potential after breaking him down, building him back up, and letting the ball come into his hand. Since being out, he's averaging almost 30 points a game.
For sure.
3-4 assists, couple of rebounds. Like, this team might sneak into the play. And again, that's a new face coming into the West. It's pretty exciting because you look at the East and it's the same old. Celtics, Bucks, Cavs, except the Magic anew, it's the same old, it feels like. So having the West be a little bit shaken up, I think it's exciting basketball.